Well, a drug that attracted a lot of attention during the pandemic is now back in the news, but this time for claims it can cure cancer.
Online interest in Ivermectin is surging after actor Mel Gibson endorsed it during a popular podcast earlier this year. Dr. Frank McGeorge here with a closer look at the science, also the controversy.
Yeah, Ty and Karen, you know, ivermectin is a drug used to kill parasites. It was originally approved for livestock, then later to treat some parasitic infections in humans. There was intense interest in using the drug to fight COVID, but the majority of studies found it was not an effective treatment. Well, now ivermectin is being promoted as a treatment for cancer.
Every week when we see patients, we will see one or two or three. They ask us about the drug, and sometimes they really very much want us to prescribe the drugs.
Dr. Philip treats patients battling pancreatic cancer at Henry Ford Health. It's one of the most difficult cancers to treat, but he's not convinced ivermectin is the answer.
There is a lot of need for something new, but ivermectin at this point in time is not the drug that meets that need.
Philip says any scientific evidence so far is in lab experiments, not patients.
Unfortunately, in the field of pancreatic cancer, for example, we have a lot of drugs that were successful in the lab, but when they came to the clinic in large studies using randomized trials, they did not show benefit.
Philip worries about ivermectin interacting with other treatments.
We say to patients, we're not against using it. You may be part of a clinical trial if there is a clinical trial somewhere where you can go to, or we can say you can take the drug, but not combining it with chemotherapy, because I don't know what will happen if you combine it with chemotherapy.
The only way to answer that is with clinical trials.
If the National Cancer Institute wants to really know the answer for ivermectin, they have to fund a large trial, which is done at the national level in patients who have pancreatic cancer.
Now, it's a major challenge to get funding for clinical trials with older drugs or drugs where the patient has expired because, or the patent rather, has expired because there isn't financial incentive for pharmaceutical companies. Now, there is a study underway at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center looking at ivermectin in patients receiving immunotherapy for triple-negative breast cancer.
So you have all of this, quote, information or controversy, and then you got social media spreading messages in terms of whether this is, working, not working. What does the doctor say about that?
So it's kind of a mixed bag, actually. Some of the information is good, some of it's just wrong, but he really wishes there were more posts encouraging patients to participate in clinical trials because there are a lot of promising new drugs as well. He said only about 5% of patients with pancreatic cancer are actually participating in a clinical trial.
But it is frustrating that there probably won't be a study on this because there's no money in it. So even if it was a cure for cancer, we're probably not going to know.
Well, potentially. I mean, hopefully that's where the funding will come in to support a study that is for a drug that does not have big cash layout.
Right.
Right.
Thank you, Doc.
Yep.